All right, number 9, we're looking at a graph, and we're asked to identify its domain and its range. Now remember that domain are the x values, and domain will be the values as you look from the left side of your graph to your right. What x values are being used to make this graph? Well, I start here, and the x value that corresponds to this point would be -6. And as I move along, my graph continues until I reach this point, which is the end point, a closed point, and x is 4. So some of you might want to say that the domain starts with -6 and ends with +4. And I would say, please be careful. When you were moving from the left side of your graph to the right, you may have missed the fact that there was a point missing, which means there was a break in your domain. So, in this case, I do start with -4, but the break in the domain actually occurred when x was 1, so I would have to break up my domain into 2 parts. X started with -6 inclusive, which gave me a bracket, but when I reached this point here where x was 1, there was a break, so I do not include 1. I put parentheses. U means united with or together with this set, which also starts after 1 for x and goes up to and includes 4 for x. Alright, so you want to be real careful. I remember when we had a test on this, several people didn't pay attention to the whole and they got their domain wrong. Okay, by the same token, the range values are determined by looking from the lowest point on your graph to the highest point on your graph. So the lowest point on the graph would be this point here, and the y value here is -2. And the highest point on the graph, I believe, would be here at 2, 7. But, so can I say it's from -2 to 7? That's the highest? Well, somebody might say, well, wait a minute, don't forget you have a break here. Yeah, but this is tricky. I'm going to say tricky because even though you have a break at this point, you have a point over here which has the same y value that's inclusive, so there actually is no break in the range. So in this case, the range values go from -2 to 7 with no actual breaks in the domain because all values are being used in this particular range set. Okay?